This is the second session of the Nature Talks 2025 webinar series, which runs in parallel with the upcoming International Conference on Biomimicry for Sustainability 2025, proudly organized by GAP-HQ.
Where sustainability meets innovation. Welcome to GAP HQ, where we're building tomorrow's Sri Lanka through green innovation and entrepreneurship. Under the GAP HQ umbrella, 5 dynamic companies work in harmony to create lasting impact. Through graduate associate professionals, we're bridging the gap between academic knowledge and industry practices, nurturing the next generation of sustainable development leaders. Beyond our core services, GAP HQ offers state-of-the-art venues designed for connection and growth. Our versatile spaces host everything from corporate conferences and workshops to educational programs and networking events, providing the perfect setting for knowledge sharing and professional development. The International Center for Sustainable Built Environment pioneers sustainable design solutions. Our multifunctional civil engineering consultancy ensures every project meets the highest standards of sustainability, safety, and quality. Lanka AAC Block offers eco-friendly, lightweight construction solutions using fly ash from the Norachole power plant, promoting sustainability and energy efficiency in modern building practices. GAP HQ, where innovation meets sustainability.
Thank you so much for your attention. This is a unique opportunity to connect, learn, and engage with thought leaders as they share valuable perspectives is shaping the future. Be inspired. Before we begin, discuss experts whose work bridges science, nature, and innovation. First, let me introduce our first speaker, Professor Ranjith Dissanayake Emeritus Professor at the University of Pennsylvania and Chair of the Biomimicry Conference. Professor and immediate past chairman of the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka. Also, he is an have earned him prestigious awards, the Global Sustainability Lifetime Award 2024 and Jagat Lifetime Award for Human Capital Development. Beyond academia, he is a successful entrepreneur leading multiple companies under GAP HQ. His passion for sustainability drives his leadership in organizing global conferences on resource efficiency, biomimicry continues to inspire innovation in engineering and sustainability worldwide. So, he will deliver the speech now. Over to you, yes, sir.
Thank you, Dhanushka, for the introduction. Let me share the presentation. Hope you all can see the presentation.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. Good evening. I'll be taking the first part of our presentation, that is nature-inspired pathway to a pollution-free planet. Before beginning the presentation, I'll start with the nature-inspired path. What is the nature-inspired path? So we can say that the nature-inspired path is, we define it as biomimicry is the nature-inspired path or the nature-inspired innovation. So if you innovate something with using the nature, so that we call as a biomimicry. But there are different kind of definition. I'll go with as a definition of biomimicry. Look at this photograph. When the bird flying, you can imagine if you want to do the same thing, there is a certain structure, a pattern, and the things that you can observe from the nature. So that is the mimicking the nature, right? So based on that, the development of the aircraft and so forth develop, right? So that is we get the essence from the nature and innovate it, but you can't innovate as it is, right? Then we take it to the application. Let's have another application. These are the traditional trains that we have been using. But when Japanese improve the speed at a rail line and so forth, they realize that when it leave a tunnel, there's a huge disturbance coming out of. Though there has been a lot of complaint by the people, very, very, very popular story this. Then the one engineer who is also the bird watcher, he realized that when the kingfisher try to catch the fish, changing upon the different media, it doesn't have the similar problem. This is why he inspired to find out solution. So solution came as you see there. That was a successful solution. Again, the solution came from the nature. Let's move on to another one, Bergdorf. So that there has the sticky nature, right? So people wanted to have a similar one in the different kind of application. So looking at that concept, they have developed Velcro, right? So that again come to so that I'm just took few example, so that most of the challenges, issues that we have in the real life, if you closely look at the nature, so but then you will find out the solution for that one. But we have not always the follow this mimicking the nature, understand the nature deep. So then we have created the solution. That solution end up with a lot of pollution plus challenges and so on. So that means we have to understand that the nature is the best scientist. Almost all the things innovated by the nature end up with the zero pollution. That is true. When you go to any cities, you end up with the scene in the lot of garbage. If you go to the jungle, you don't see any issues there. Right. Let's go into some of the understanding for being a structural engineer, or how we inspired the nature to some of the concept. So where we can understand that this termite housing inside always a temperature remain constant. So what has happened when the air get heated, it leave from the top. So the same principle has been designed when designing especially factories and so forth. This concept has been used. So similar pattern has been used in the building. So there are buildings around the world has been designed based on this biomimicry principle, right? So that it is understood that the temperature can be drastically reduced compared to what is outside. Is the building constructed in using the same concept in Zimbabwe, very popular building. Now, being somebody who has been working for the greener building concept, I would like to bring some of my understanding with the greener building practices and the nature-inspired solution for the pollution-free planet. In the green rating tool, because rating tool is the one we use to build the building. So when you build the building, as you see, there are few criteria that we seriously consider. But there are many, but we have considered 8 criteria. Where in these 8 criteria, we try to get the solution from the nature. Some way biomimicry is the nature mimicking, natural mimicking, nature incorporation, or in the designing, for the infrastructure, nature utilization. Again, regenerative design, nature, again, regenerating is living. For the living building, nature integration, like the rooftop garden and so forth. The eco material, we get the sources from the nature again. So that adaptive reuse, we try to respect the nature, respecting the nature. So anyway, this is the big concept. So I'll go into the little detail about the rating tool and so how we try to incorporate the concept. The big picture is this one. This I'll always talk to you about we live in a jungle. We have moved on to the built environment. By transferring from the jungle to built environment, we are, while having the so many facilities and so forth, comfort and right, it's very good, but we end up with a lot of environmental issues. But now the world realized that we need to have a solution. In order to get the solution, what we do is we use the sustainable practices around the world. Sustainable practices is used. That is the greener building concept also coming under the sustainable practices. So what we try to bring the nature. How do you get the solution? It's again coming from the nature. But what we do, because we can't go back to the nature, so therefore what we try to do is try to bring the nature. A solution from the nature. Innovation from the nature. So nature inspired solution. Right? This is what we are bringing. So even when you read a building concept, rating tool itself, as I told you beginning, it's a nature inspired solution. Let's see, at the end of the day, we want to have the sustainable built environment as you see there. Where more nature, solution from the nature. Right? This is we call as a triple bottom of sustainability. We have to make sure that the economy, social, and environment. But the key concept is bringing the nature into the built environment. I'm directly going to the greener building. Sustainable construction is required. So because of that, the greener building concept is coming. Sustainable building means, end of the day, we would like to see a building like this. Let's go with the nature. There are many things, many criteria to be satisfied. If you go into directly the rating tool, you will see. But when you look at here, you will see that rainwater harvesting, cross ventilation, daylight. Oh, of course, these are, I'm going to explain in detail. This is what we had in the nature. Because of the moving from the nature to the built environment, because of the building boundaries, we don't get the cross ventilation. Because of the roof, we don't get the daylight into the building. So likewise, we have so many issues because of built environment. So that is what building like this doesn't have, reduce as much as possible these boundaries. These are the green rating tool where we have 8 criteria. That means the 8 area that we consider as important. Management, sustainable site, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, material and resources, indoor environment quality, and the innovation and the social and cultural awareness. So let's go one by one. Right? Sustainable sites. Let's first go to a jungle. Jungle is this, no pollution, right? Even if you go after several years later, you will see the bit different, but the no pollution at all. This is what we need. This is our topic. So, but we have been started living in the jungle, then little bit we are moving. Still, we are not damaging too much. At the end of the day, if you leave this village, it becomes a part of the, still not bad. But what has happened right now, we have completely forgot the nature. Without looking at the nature, we have keep on building the building because of the huge urbanization. Right? So now sustainable built environment is important. The greener building is a part of the sustainable built environment. So as when you go to the next photograph, you will see that the same population, everything is there, but of course, with the nature, water bodies, clean roof, and coastal ventilation, daylight, and many things which is available, which is used by in the nature, has been embedded into the here. There's a bit similarity, the beginning of the civilization. So we are going back to there, but with technology, because you can't go as it is, we have to go with the high rise and so forth because of the huge population and so on. So I mean bringing the nature as much as possible into the built environment. Let's go to the another topic of energy. Sorry, next one we'll go to the water efficiency. Earlier we discussed about sustainable sites. When you go to the water efficiency, when we start the living in the jungle, we drink the water like animals still does. So this is how this is the starting of the civilization, right? Yeah, many people drink the water. But what has happened right now? In the nature, there are built water bodies. This is how the people started using the water. Farmers, of course, drink the water from these water bodies, right? Bathing and many things they did. But right now, what has happened is completely polluted, as you see there. But now you cannot do the same because the water bodies has polluted. Sometimes you don't see the water bodies, but still you will see that it has been polluted completely. Therefore, in the green building concept, we don't allow water to fall onto the ground because ground has been completely polluted. We try to capture the water when it comes to the roof. Even we would like to, if the raining is not happening frequently, we would like to wash not to take the initial water, but after few minutes. This is what exactly happen in the nature. But in the nature, it will fall on the ground and collected, and then only people use the water, and the animals still using the water. So these kind of the concept, rainwater harvesting and the purification systems has been understand from the nature and used for the water efficiency system. So I'm not going into the detail, but you will say that the water efficiency in the greener building is a completely the trying to get as much as possible water requirement from the nature. The rainwater harvesting as well as the purification system also understand from the nature. What I want to tell you, in the rating tool, all the criteria has been designed looking at the nature. Looking at the nature, what has been done in the nature, so we try to adapt it to our system. Let's move on to the next one, which is energy and atmosphere. So this is the nature. This is the people live in the nature. Where you get we have the roof, of course. We have roof is again covered by vegetation. It is like the rooftop garden. Then you have the cross ventilation. You definitely use the daylight, local material, greener material, sustainable material, you name anything and everything is there. So that is what we want to bring the cross ventilation and so forth into the built environment. That is exactly what is happening in the nature. Then we wanted to bring the rooftop garden and so forth. We had to understand the sun path and so forth. So again, that is what we had or have in the nature. Then build with completely covered with the nature. So that is exactly what should be in the nature. It's a building will be cooler, We don't want much air conditioning, cross ventilation, and so forth. We try to capture the daylight as much as possible. So there are building 65% of the daylight is used for the building. I mean the daytime operation. There are building which is 100% powered by the solar, zero energy building, and so forth. Let's energy, of course. In the nature we get the energy from the sun. Though the put in the solar panel is exactly we do the mimic the nature. But of course there are issues with the solar panels. What is going to happen next? That is a different story. But we are mimicking the nature. Let's go to the next one. That is the innovation. I'm not going to discuss everything, but I discuss the sustainable sides, water efficiency, energy, and innovation. So innovation is very, very important because still there are many things to. That is what in the green building concept we also encourage the innovation. There are so many innovation in the designing and so forth that I'm not going to explain. There are many things lesson from the nature. Right? How to live with the nature. Right? This building has been designed. Understand the nature. So there are challenges, right? So I'm bringing the one example from the California. So when the mimic the nature, there are so that means that simply what I want to tell you is that there is a room for the research. You may know that the purpose of this webinar is we are going to conduct the international conference on the biomimicry in September. So we want you to participate, mainly the researchers, to publish your work which you related to the nature-inspired solution. That means that when you adapt the nature, when you mimic the nature, there are issues. So that we have to discuss, we have to present our paper and understand the solution for the challenges that we have. So that is what we have the second international conference on biomimicry sustainability, 16th and 26th and 27th in September this year, where we find out the solution for this. But there are good news that we are going to publish we were requested to publish the book on the biomimicry by the Springer Nature, because there is a very few books has been published in this area. And the selected paper from this conference will be published along the Candy conference, which is happening in December, as a special chapter of that one. Then again, March we did another conference on the resource efficiency. That is also for the sustainability. Again, we very recently completed the conference on the university industry collaboration for the sustainability, because we have been working very closely for the area of sustainability. In the December, we have the main conference, 16th International Conference on Sustainable Built Environment. We are right now calling the papers and abstract for the both conference, biomimicry conference and sustainability. We are going bit parallel. End of the day, we wanted to see the built environment, not the polluted one, which is inspired by the nature as there, because nature will be there in the built environment. See, they are pollution free. People are very happy. Economy become a green economy. That is we call a sustainable built environment. There, innovation is key. So that is what we are trying to educate this kind of seminar, as well as bringing the conference of this nature. With that, I'm coming to the close of my part, nature-inspired pathways, the wisdom of the nature world, driving the sustainable solution leading us towards a cleaner and greener and pollution-free planet. So I clacked the out. Within the GAP headquarters, we try to do a lot of innovation. We try to commercialize the nature-inspired solution. I'm not going to talk it right now, but the solution coming from the nature, we try to commercialize at the GAP headquarters. So that is one of our main name of the GAP headquarters. Nature-inspired innovation to a greener entrepreneurship. So our theme is the green innovation and entrepreneurships. We drive to the research commercialization. Before concluding, we as a scientist, you have to look deep into the nature, and then you will understand everything better that is said by the Albert Einstein. With that, I will conclude my presentation, and I will allow Dr. Kinkini to continue the presentation. But before that, MC will introduce the Dr. Kinkini Hemachandra. Thank you. I'll stay with you for any question at the end of the presentation. Thank you. Over to you, MC.
Thank you so much, dear sir. It's a truly insightful session we had to get about our nature. With that, it's time to move with our next session on nature-inspired business solutions. It's my great pleasure to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Kinkini Hemachandra. Dr. Kinkini Hemachandra is a lecturer in the Department of Management at Huddersfield Business School, University of Huddersfield, UK. Before taking up this role in 2023, she lectured at Teesside International Business School, Teesside University, and her academic journey in the UK began at the Global Disaster Resilience Centre, University of Huddersfield, where she served as a researcher and later as a postdoctoral researcher, contributing to several international projects funded by the European Union and UK Research and Innovation. Her research focuses on disaster resilience and sustainable development. She played key roles in multiple EU-funded projects such as CEPRA, Britain, Cabaret, and Espresso, and UKRI-funded projects on integrating epidemic preparedness into disaster risk reduction. These projects aimed at strengthening university-industry collaboration, building resilience in tropical agro-ecosystems, and enhancing societal disaster preparedness in Asia and Europe. Her PhD research completed at the University of Huddersfield and developed a framework to empower women in disaster risk governance in Sri Lanka. Before moving to the UK, Dr. Hemachandra served as a senior lecturer at the University of Sri Javadhanapura, Sri Lanka from 2002. She holds 2 master's degree certificates in teaching in higher education from the University of Colombo and is a part of qualified member of the Institution of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. She is also affiliated with professional networks such as the South Asian Network for Development and Environmental Economics and the British Academy of Management, and has received multiple research grants from Sandy and her home university. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Dhanushika. Thank you for the very kind introduction. So I hope you can see my screen. I have already shared the screen. Is it visible for you?
Yes, madam.
Madam, it is not a presentation mode yet.
Okay, right. Yeah, right. Thank you for the invitation. And Professor Ranjit has set the scene very well, setting the background of biomimicry as well as nature-inspired business solutions. So today, what I'm going to discuss is about a kind of knowledge sharing, because we thought of introducing this concept to the Sri Lankan economy as well as Sri Lankan education system, having identified its multiple benefits from different discipline and different industry. So my talk is about nature-inspired business solutions. So let me take you to the content page, what we are going to talk about. So I have a couple of points that I would like to discuss with you. First, I'm going to talk about why do we need nature-inspired solution, and what is this nature-inspired solution and how it relate with biomimicry. And also I want to bring some theoretical backgrounds, because as academics as well as scholars as well as students, it is always good to have a good theoretical background when we talk about any topic. And also I'm going to talk about some business application and also some case examples. And finally, I'm going to make a small reflection. So let me highlight you why do we need this kind of nature-inspired solution? Because over the years we heard about the concepts of sustainable practices, nature-based practices, nature-inspired, and so on. Why do we need to talk about all these nature-related things? So I am pretty sure that we all know the mother planet and the mother earth is bearing more than 8 billion population. It is quite heavy. And also think about how many mouths we have to feed, and how many resources, how much of resources do we need compared to 3 billion population years ago. So therefore we are in a situation where balancing these two, resource limitation as well as demand increase. So we have to manage these two in a very sustainable manner. Why? Because in between these two hands as well as in between these two aspects, we are also seeing the impact of climate change. Whether we like it or not, we cannot take out from the global dynamics as well as global appearance, the climate change has already started. Therefore, it's become a very difficult game. How do we have the right balance in between resources and the needs, and also within the context of changing climate? So therefore, who will tell us, who will teach us, who will guide us to the best solution, saving the life, saving the planet, and fulfilling our needs, and also securing from the climate change and its impact? So who will be the best teacher to teach us all these things? Who has the most experiences? So when you look at all the schools, all the educational institutes and all that, they haven't survived more than 100 years, more than 200 years, more than 1,000 years. So who is the oldest teacher that we can go for? We have already identified the nature. Nature survived. Nature continued its journey through different challenges, different changes, and so on for more than 38 billion years. So why not we look at the nature and see how nature is evolving over the period and also doing its business in the wonderful manner. So that's why we thought of bringing this concept of this nature inspired solution into the business world. So when we talk about the nature inspired solution, you can see I highlighted the term from, because we are not going to look at nature of, we are not going to see the nature how it does, but we are going to see the nature learn, we are going to take the learning of from the nature, right? We are going to take the learnings from the nature and its living organisms. So let me take you to the next one, connecting this learning from nature, which is what we call it as the nature inspired solutions, right? So we are going to, I'm reiterating and highlighting the term, we are learning from the nature and its living organisms. When you talk about these nature inspired solutions or the NIS system, there are many different forms we can see: biophilia, biomorphism, bioutilization, biomimicry, so many bioterms. So simply, the bio means the living things, right? So I'm not going to touch upon biophilia, biomorphism, bioutilization, and so on. We are technically limiting our study and the discussion to the concept of biomimicry. So let me stand with the biomimicry. What is it? What is biomimicry? It is the practice and learning from the nature, and we are going to look at how the natural forms, how the natural process, and how the natural ecosystem create human solutions, can be used to sort out our human problems. However, we don't know much about it because nature is so old, 38 billion years old, but we are like, human life is very short, so therefore there is a huge knowledge gap. So within these kind of session, what we are trying to do is, because we are also studying this area, we are also searching this area, so we are going to study what is this knowledge gap, how can we bridge this knowledge gap, of this vast knowledge gap, by conducting tiny small research work. So if we look at the concept of biomimicry, it dates back to 14 BC, and you can see this picture nicely captured the history of biomimicry. To highlight several genius in this diagram, I don't say that everybody is a genius, because whatever the way that they have invented some way the other, right? So you can see Charles Da Vinci's diagram image, and also Jane Benay's image, and so on. So everybody is trying to figure it out, how the nature works, how the living organism works, and bring it back to our day-to-day life. So moving from, if we want to fill this, if we want to bridge this knowledge gap, we have to read it, we have to learn it. So if you are really interested, then I really encourage you to go for these kind of books, right? So I chose 3 different books which are eye-opening and inspiring, as well as interesting to read, right? So one of the good book, written by Jane Benayes. She can be considered as the modern day biomimicry pioneer. She gave another kick to this discipline, identifying the nature's practices, nature's living process, and bringing into our day-to-day life. So she wrote this book. So if you are interested, if you want to study more, you can read it, and they have their own website. You can read it from the website as well. There's another very interesting book. I really like this book, which talk about how biomimicry can be used into our business world, which is my main topic, right? So how can we bring this biomimicry into this business entrepreneurs? So what Marga Fransworth, she wrote this book, and she used this concept, and she explained how big companies in the global industry giants have used this biomimicry concepts into their enormous, gigantic business structures, because she truly believed that nature employs various strategies to self-organization, resilience, adaptability, and so on. So, say for example, in her book, she explained 5 big companies, including Nike. I think we all know the Nike. We wear some clothes, and we wear their shoes, and so on. And also there is another company, Pack Scientific, and also Interface and Shark. So you can see she talked about these kind of big companies, how they use these biomimicry principles into their business solution. So I chose two case studies from her book, which is one is Sharklet. What they do is they are using the shark skins and its technology into solving some human related problems. So I'm going to use, I highlighted two examples from this company. One is they produce yoga mats. We all know that yoga and people use yoga mats when you are doing certain type of yoga exercises, so they produce yoga mats. But my attention goes to follow urinary catheters, which is highly important if you are suffering with some sort of kidney related or some urinatory problem. So they produce these catheters by looking at how the living organisms work within this context. The second example that I chose from her book is Interface. They are none other than they are producing carpets, flooring technology. So they produce different type of carpets. So their ideology was inspired by looking how the nature is producing and using their systems as well as their practices without making a waste. So they inspired. If you look at the right hand side, you can see there are two type of carpets, right? So that means they are not using the single design carpet, but they are manufacturing and they are reducing this waste by incorporating this nature's concept. So you can see even the big companies have invested some amount of money to go for the research and development and try to bring this wonderful concept of biomimicry into their business. So I highlighted with several key examples from the gigantic business world. If you are not sure about whether these facts are true and if you want to have a scientific look, what you can do is I have identified a couple of research papers, those who have investigated and those who have tried to understand the application of this biomimicry in different contexts. Say, for example, one of the paper I highlighted is by Barman, Bio-Inspired Product and Technology Innovation in the Present and Future. You can see people have already started, and which is a latest article, which is written in 2024. Another article I found from the Cleaner Production Journal, they talk about the sustainability oriented innovation narratives. So that is also written in 2022, which is another good article. So I think this kind of knowledge is helpful for you to as a upcoming researchers as well as students as well as also a kind of industry practitioners. So I included those examples to see there is a solid base for conducting these studies. Again, I'm coming back to my layman explanation apart from those technical terms. So what we can learn from the nature provides mentorship as a parent, as a teacher, right? And also nature provides a lot of models we can use it. And also nature provides the real balancing measurements, right? Say for example, think about, we all grow. We were born as babies, and to a certain period of time, we are growing ourselves. Think about, imagine if we keep on continuing our growth cells and growth trajectories, we will be around 10, 20, 50 meters long and big when we come to when we are reaching to 70 or 80 age. No, it's not it's not the thing, isn't it? That nature has developed our human body having identified what is the correct measurement. So we don't grow after certain period of time, right? So this is how the nature has set our human body as well as all the other things surrounding us to have a correct measurement. So you can see how practical these natural models are. So when we talk about the natural models and the theoretical base, the concept of biomimicry is going hand in hand with two different sets of principles. So, according to this biomimicry institution, they have set out, they have identified 9 basic principles of biomimicry. If you can see on the left hand side, you can see there are 9 principles. It always relate with the nature, and they have converted these 9 principles into nature's principle, again dividing into 6 applicable application sites. So these 9 principles have been converted into the life principles into 6 categories. So you can see people have investigated, people have researched, and they are coming up with good solution and good set of principles. So, if we dig deeper into this nature's principles or the life principles, if you can see clearly, under these 6 key principles, there are 27 elements, subsections have been already developed. Right? So subsection have been already developed. I will come back to this topic. I will come back to this section later on, in later slides, and let me move forward. So I hope I have set the scene theoretically. What is the concept of nature-inspired solution and its sub-element of biomimicry? So I hope you have an understanding about how this nature-inspired solution, in particularly the concept of biomimicry, has been evolving among the academics, among the researchers, as well as among the practitioners. So that is the first part that I wanted to explain you, discuss you. Let's see what are the practical application, because I'm not going to dig deeper into this practical application, because Professor Ranjith has already mentioned several of those examples. Let's see, surrounding our environment, what application has been done in the biomimicry. Biomimicry solutions have been applied in the product design and product development, right? So say, for example, I think if you can recall, Professor Ranjith has already mentioned how the aeroplanes have been designed by looking at the bird's wing, right? So therefore, we can see the designing stage of product designing stage, biomimicry has already established their stamp that we have the best models in the system, so accept it, right? So therefore, one example is the aviation and automobile industry. And also Professor Ranjith has also mentioned about the Velcro, right? So looking at the fur bird dog and then converted into the Velcro. So therefore, I'm not going to look at it. Then I'm going to talk about how these biomimicry principles have been applied in the energy sector, which is very much important sector for us, because at the end of the day, the entire world is fighting each other, not because of any other thing, because of this scarce resources, energy, right? So underlying principle is energy, right? So therefore, we people have started to look at the natural models, the living models, and they are trying to replicate in our day-to-day energy needs as well as our demands from the energy sector. So I took 2 examples, right? So you can see solar panels. One, solar panels is mimicking the photosynthesis process. We know the leaves, how do they collect all the all the carbohydrate things from the photosynthesis process and convert in them to energy at the end of the day. So they have identified this photosynthesis process done by the plants into designing more efficient solar panel system. That is one. Second, how do they create the solar panel system is rather than putting all these solar panel into a rectangular shape, what they have done is they have arranged into a round shape. This round shape is innovated and inspired by the sunflower, because sunflower, you know, when you see the sunflower, it is all the time rotating from the side from where the sun rise to the sunset. So they have used this system in order to generate more efficient and capture and store the efficient energy system by looking at the sunflower seed. And Professor Ranjith has already mentioned about different type of architectures, right? So within the biomimicry sector, so biomimicry has been used in different architectural module, right? So for aesthetic purpose as well as for practical application in energy efficiency once again, right? So you can see the upper diagram is from Singapore. They have a theater, and it is exactly similar to the durian fruit. And also the second one is from India, which is the lotus temple. They have replicated the lotus temple by looking at the lotus leaf, lotus flower. Let's talk about the biomimicry into energy conservation and sustainable practices. As Professor Ranjith has already said the same about saying that how different building architectures can use the cooling system to conserve energy. My very interesting area, one of the very interesting and enthusiastic topic that I read from the biomimicry application in the agricultural sector, because this is very much important for us, because if you travel within Sri Lanka, you can see there are very good wet zone area as well as very dry zone areas. Sometimes we are suffering from flood, and sometimes we are suffering from drought season. So this is some innovative approach and technically developed by looking at a Namibian beetle. So you can see it's a insect, right? So how the Namibian beetle lives in the desert. So you can't live in a desert without a drop of water. So how this beetle survive in the desert? He captured all the water droplets during the morning period, and collect all the water droplets into his body and use it for his own consumption. This is exactly what the team of researchers have replicated within the desert area in some parts of Africa to sort out the problems for their agriculture. So they created a kind of different type of structures to collect these type of evaporated water and without using any sort of energy, right? So this is something similar to a bobo tree, which is well known in African region. They have a huge stump and they collect water. So this is another good example where direct biomimicry principles have been applied in the agriculture. Not only in the agriculture, if you look at the military, everybody know the camouflaging. All the military personnel are wearing different type of suits, which is exactly replicating the wild feeling, right? So it was invented as well as it was inspired by another animal called the squid. Squid is always changing his color. Not only squid, if you can recall how the lizard as well as how these kind of animals are creating and changing their colors depending on the changing environment. So military personnel have identified these kind of technique and used in their military activities. And also now we are living in a digital era. So are there any applications from this biomimicry into digital area? Of course. You know that we all now use the cloud system, right? Cloud system. So we store even our computers and laptops don't have a hardware to store our data. It is already stored in the cloud system. So when you go to the cloud system, you have to You have to save billions of data into a very small way. How do they do that? They looked at human body and look at how the DNA structure has been done, and they have replicated in their digital storage by looking at the DNA system. And also, we are doing a lot of big data calculation, right? So, ant colony optimization, looking at ants, how do they behave, how do they communicate, how do they store their data, and so on. We are trying to replicate their models into our day-to-day life. So you can see another aspect of the biomimicry application. I'm coming to some of the last sections, which is about application in organization. Can we apply this biomimicry in our organizational models? You know that organizations are sometimes vertical organizations, sometimes it's horizontal, and so on. Even though we have so many books written and so many methods applicable, like this organization structure is best, this is another good structure, and so on, every time we are having difficulties. So why not follow how these living organisms like bees, hundreds, thousands of bees are working together towards a common goal, right? And they are obeying to the queen in the bee colony. So why not replicate this system? People have started to think about these kind of concepts, the application in changing our existing organizational model. So if you want to read, you have these kind of things. So at the end of the day, what I wanted to tell you is, what I really want to emphasize, why these business giants have invested and started their biomimicry journey, because it has already demonstrated and evidence its efficiency, and also it has already demonstrated their alternative resources, and also they have already demonstrated the ability of reducing waste, does not harm environment, and in that sense it has already increased their profitability and also demonstrated the resilience and growth potential. So you can see it is already justified, right? So therefore, if you think about now, okay, can we invest, can we do something with the biomimicry in different sectors? So these are some of the evidence, right? This is not my evidence, but these are some world leading organizations. They have conducted the studies, they have conducted several studies to see what is the possibility of biomimicry in the next couple of years, right? Even this graph shows you different industries and how many jobs they can create within these biomimicry inspired solutions. Okay, keep the world aside and let's think about our small, beautiful country, Sri Lanka. Can we bring? Why do we need? Because it is timely important to do something to face the economic crisis, and also because of all these crises, chaotics and hazard and all that, we also having a rising population, so we have a problem of jobs creation. And also a lot of people migrate, and also we are suffered with frequent natural hazards. So it is vital to support and protect the entrepreneurial sector in our country. So therefore, it is really good to see whether what we can do as researchers as well as academic. So we did some of trial during our last 1.5 years time. We started to think about what we can do to bring this concept and to support our industry and the business sector with this knowledge. So we conducted 2 different projects. We are conducting the second one. We completed one project, right? So project 1, we tested the applicability of this biomimicry in one of the entrepreneurial category, social enterprise. The second project we are ongoing, which is about applicability of biomimicry into our tourism industry. Let me briefly tell you what are the outcomes. Trial 1. So we went to several social entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka, and we identified whether they can do something, whether we can introduce the concept of biomimicry. Are they already operating this biomimicry, and so on? The results. So you can see we identified, we did a lot of mistakes, right? We are in the learning process, and we realized that from our interviews and so on, we interviewed 24 people, participants, and we realized only 4 people have the clear understanding about what is biomimicry. So that is a good outcome from our study. And we did a lot of errors, and we realized it. And this is the result of our first trial in Sri Lanka. So what it tells us, when we are moving to our second project, do it correct. So with that learning, we started our second trial in Sri Lanka within the tourism industry. So this time, with the previous errors, we realized that we need to have a proper literature review, as well as we need to have a proper theoretical understanding. And hence, what we did was we used the life principles, that 27 elements in the life principle. So this time we are going to check whether people can have this 27 principle in their business model. So if you want to see what are these elaborated list of 27 practices, here they are. So we are in the second stage of that project, and we have created a questionnaire to be conducted and to be tested within the Sri Lankan tourism industry people, those who are in the tourism industry. Right. So I think I used a little bit more time, but I'm going to wind up my session. And what things we can learn, right? So what are the take-home messages? One thing I can highlight, biomimicry is an emerging field. So therefore, you have to keep eye open and see what possibilities we can grab it. And there is a great potential to drive towards a sustainable world. It is already justified and showed that it is a good way of protecting the world towards a sustainable world. And also there are some misconceptions, that is lack of understanding. I told you, right, with our data findings, with our data analysis, we realized that the knowledge of the biomimicry concept, correct biomimicry concept, is very limited among us. So therefore, what we need to do, education and awareness. I think Professor Ranjith and the team is doing exactly what we want to do. We can make mistakes. We can do mistakes, but we should not stop at any point. We should keep continuing. And I think another important thing is collaboration is a key. So you can't say that, oh, she is from a business school, how does she know about human things? I know. No, that's why we need collaboration, right? So we need to have biologists, we need to have people from the nature, those who study environment, and also we have to get together and design these principles. So I think these things can be easily identified from Sri Lanka, because we have a very long history and we had a very good living system with going and helping each other and living with the nature. So therefore, why not? Why not we dig deep into this system and get the full results of biomimicry into our innovative business invention. So I'm going to highlight one living example. This is one of my friend who studied fashion designing from the Moratuwa University. In his final project, what he did was he looked at the life cycle of a dragonfly, and he created the clothing design system by following the dragonfly's life cycle. So I think it is something good and interesting to end my presentation with that slide. And I think I have delivered some bit of information and some bit of knowledge to the biomimicry. How can we incorporate and how can we bring this concept into our business world? With that note, I'm going to wind up my small talk. Thank you very much for listening to this session. Dinushika?
Thank you so much, dear madam, for your wonderful explanation. So, my dear audience, it's time to raise your questions regarding today's session. You can use the chat box to put your messages or the questions.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you, Professor, for your wonderful presentation on this new subject of biomimicry. And you very well explained the definition of biomimicry. And also, I must thank Dr. Kinkini for the nice explanation with examples of this newly invented subject. Once again, I thank for inviting us to participate in this timely important subject. And also I must thank the GAP GHQ for arranging this kind of seminars for us to enhance our knowledge on the new subject areas. Thank you once again, Professor.
You're welcome. Dinishka, we can wind it up if there's no question.
Okay, sir. So, since there are no more questions, we can wind the session from here. So, dear all, as we conclude these insightful and inspiring speeches, I believe we can all agree that the knowledge and perspectives shared have been incredibly valuable. We are deeply thankful to each of our speakers for their thoughtful contributions and for generously sharing their expertise with us. Now it's time to turn our attention on some special highlights of the upcoming conference on biomimicry. I'm delighted to share with you a few important announcements quickly. Let me share my screen. So, where for now, this is the second International Conference on Biomimicry for Sustainability 2025, which is going to be held on 26th and 27th of June. The themes of this conference, which are biomimicry for climate resilience and sustainability, biomimicry in renewable energy and circular economy, AI and digital biomimicry for future technologies, biomimicry in healthcare, Ayurveda and biotechnology, in agriculture, food security and water conservation, and also biomimicry in business, policy, economy, and green finance, biomimicry in marine ecosystems and blue economy, and also biomimicry in tourism. So, the abstract and full paper submission deadline is 30th June of 2025, and don't forget that you have exciting opportunity. The selected papers will be published on the Springer Nature Journal. So don't miss this opportunity that you have. If you need further information about us, you can stand here to reach us. So let's listen to the nature with Professor 25 with our next webinar session. Thank you very much for everything. And good night to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.